Hi everyone, welcome to I can't get my words out. Hi everyone, you've landed on Aquascaping on the Fly, Living Art Creations. I'm Anthony, your host and your content creator, and welcome to the channel where I blend my love of spirituality and Mother Nature into every build I put out there. Now today I have something really exciting. For the last 5 days, if you guys have watched any of the videos on my channel, I've been promoting a series on how to build your own custom fish tank aquarium display. I needed to do, or needed to purchase, I started out wanting to purchase, like on Amazon, a 5-tank display for what I'm going to be calling the Rainbow Series. Now, Rainbow Series normally should have 6 because we're referencing the colors of the rainbow, the prism of the rainbow. But I am doing something a little bit different. We are artists. We can make that change if we want. So I'm choosing 1 tank to represent 2 tanks. And it comes at the crossroads of all 5 tanks. And at that crossroads of all 5 tanks, there's 1 tank called the rhombus. Now, if you're totally confused, I love it. Because when I got this idea, I was confused too. And why I say I got this idea, this just doesn't pop into my head because, oh, all of a sudden I knew what a rhombus was. No, I had to look it up. So yeah, this is definitely a spirit-led design tank display that has been on my mind for months. And when I get an idea or a download from spirit, it stays on my mind until it gets built. I mean, and that's it. All my other tanks behind me, they're all the same. It's no secret that this setup here is called the Trinity series. Yeah, come on, think about it. The Holy Trinity, 3 tanks, 1 theme. I just shortened it to the Trinity series. The first tank on the left is Garden of Eden. I mean, now, come on. It does not get more historically biblical than that. And then this is the Tree of Life. Goodness gracious. Yeah, so spirit runs kind of heavy into my realm here, and I appreciate that, and I love that. And I love it that I can bring videos out like this to you. So the Rainbow Series, I had originally the super creative artist in my brain. I wanted to do this display of these big, massive bowl tanks, and I wanted to do in a circular, like their Mother Earth, but each one had their color. And, you know, and I was like, oh, that would look so amazing on the wall. Oh, my gosh, no. Okay, that's pie in the sky. The structure you would need to hold all that stuff up and hide all your electrical would just been a nightmare. You might as well tear down a wall and build it up because that's how it would have to come down to. And the bowl tanks are outrageously expensive. So I was going to go with Walmart's 2.5-gallon bowl. I was going to do it because it's a $13 bowl. Now, the downside is Walmart doesn't always carry them. So sometimes you got to go to maybe 4 or 5 Walmarts just to get a bowl at each store, which I was not looking forward to. Now, Hobby Lobby does carry the exact same bowl at around the same price. Walmart's a little bit cheaper, but Hobby Lobby never puts it on sale. So if you're going to do it at Hobby Lobby, you can get all the bowls you want there. No problem, because they have them in stock. Another place that carries them locally, and I'm talking, when I search on something online, I'm doing worldwide searching. I'm looking at everything. And the next place is Michael's in the North America. Now, Michael's has bowls, and I like their bowls because their quality is higher than what you get at Walmart or Hobby Lobby. But they're, oh my God, they're so much more expensive. And I've gone in several times. Those bowls that they keep, that's a standard item for them. It's always excluded from every sale. That item never goes on sale because they have like 3 different versions of the size of bowls. And I was actually going to go down a size and put it on a smaller display. Then I started researching because you guys know that I've added shrimp to all the tanks recently. And so I started researching what the shrimp need. And honestly, with putting livestock and shrimp together in a tank, excuse me, you don't really want to go lower than 5 gallons. Now, I'm going to get a lot of pushback maybe on this, but you'll see builds out there that will literally have a tiny, tiny little vase. They'll throw a bunch of plants, fish, shrimp, and photograph it. Now, whether that build stays up like that on some channels, I don't know. It's just, I know by looking at it, alarms are going off because there's way too much livestock in that tiny, tiny little spot. And when you start doing the research on how much space that your aquatic life needs inside there, then you really have to start paying attention to, okay, how much volume of water do you need for the species that you want to put in there, and who is more congenial with one species versus another one that can coexist without messing each other. And especially if you're talking about like the tanks I have, where like my 20 gallon here is a long, you start looking at the species of fish that swim in the levels. So there's 3 levels. There's the top, middle, and then the bottom. So some fish swim at the top, some at the middle, some at the bottom. So when you're doing your research, and if you want a tank that has that full balance of look, you would want to have it balanced out into like 3 groupings of your fish. I think I said grouping. It's groupings. Sometimes I just can't speak. You want those groupings done to where you just won't have everybody, oh my God, I cannot speak today, shoved into one section. That's what I'm trying to say. So that's where I came up with, okay, I can't do the bowl. So aesthetically, I was like bummed out. And then I decided, I had a brain fart during the night. And when I called it a brain fart, I usually got a message or something. So anyway, you guys just live with it. I live with it, so you're going to have to live with it. It was to go back to my original idea, and which was the 5.5 gallon bowl, not bowls, but tanks, and put them up on 3 shelves, because the closest thing I had found at Amazon to put 5 tanks on. Now, yes, you could do concrete block and 2x4s, and not in my studio. Do you see my studio? Does it look like I got concrete blocks sitting around somewhere? No, this has to look nice for you guys. I do this for you, and because I have OCD. So if I'm going to build something, it's going to look nice. I'm sorry, that's just the way it is. But it's going to be on a budget, and it's going to be DIY. That's our catchphrase. But the stands, the closest one I got that could take 5 tanks. And I really wanted to do my rhombus series, and you'll understand it more when I turn the camera around and I get it off of me and I put it onto the shelf, which is why you're here. It was going to be $270 for the weight that it needed. And so I, of course, ask all my questions on ChatGPT. I know how much weight a 5.5 gallon is. If I put 2 on a shelf, I was contemplating building a shelving unit in my own studio here. And I knew where my 2x4s or my 2x6s in my wall were. So I had a capacity of about 300 pounds if I made them floating shelves. So I was a little nervous. Yes, I wanted floating shelves in the beginning, but I was kind of nervous because that doesn't count my rock that I'm going to have in there and my hardscape and whatever else I may put on that shelf as well. It's probably going to have a terrarium on it. Because the shelving that I went with is a little bit wider than what I needed. Also, the one that I was going to get from Amazon, it could only go in this corner where there's a window over here. So the width could only be 42 inches wide. And the only thing I could find online that was under $300 was this one from Amazon at $270, and it came out to 60 something inches wide, which was way, way, way too big. I even considered putting something in front of half of my French doors here. Like this side here, I don't open unless the weather's really nice. Then I open up both French doors. I thought about putting something here when I was doing the bowls. Well, that didn't work out. And then I thought about putting something here in front of the window. That didn't go out. So this several months of obsessing over how I was going to work this out, it's evolved from the full span of the entire studio. At one point, I was even thinking about doing one straight line across the wall that you're about to look at and have all the tanks just kind of lined up and spaced out on it, which would have looked gorgeous. But that's the wall with my sofa, and I don't want to be laying on the sofa and my shelf break all of a sudden, and I got 5 tanks and plants and fish and rocks and everything falling on me, like if I'm, listening to one of my movies or something really, really loud and the walls start vibrating. Anyway, that's in my head because I watched the movie Towering Inferno way too much. I love disaster films for some reason. And of course, that's a vintage one because it's back in the 70s, I think. But yeah, I love those kind of things. I'm a movie buff as well. So back to the original story. The reason why we're here on this video is to show you the display I did build. So 5 days in the build, I used 2x4s. Okay, so specifically 2x4x4. Okay, so I did not get an 8-foot board and cut it in half. No, I made it easy on myself because I have one chainsaw. Not chainsaw. Oh, I do have a chainsaw. I keep a chainsaw when I go out my nature walks. So be careful. I'm like Jason out there. I have a circular saw and a bucket. So I put the board on a bucket and then put my foot on. It's not the safest way to do it. I don't have any way to clamp anything. I have no storage here at all whatsoever. And this hobby takes over what storage I have left. It's in every single one of my closets that I can hide stuff in. So I thought, okay, I found a board because I needed to know how the tanks were going to be on a 2x4 frame. Got it? So I thought, okay, let's make this as easy as possible. I found one board at Home Depot as wide as I could. I did not want a 12-inch. I wanted something beefier. I wanted something wider. And when I turn the camera around, I'm going to show you why. So I found one hardwood board that's 15 inches wide. I think it was like 15 3/4 and exactly 4 feet. Clue, 4-foot board, 4-foot 2x4. Okay, there's automatically a board and a framework that I can get the two long boards on. The 2x4s are the same as the board itself. It's going to sit on them. That meant no cutting. So that's loving it. Anthony loves that idea. The only thing I had to cut were the interior braces between the 2x4s. So those, yes, I had to cut, and those kind of turned out to be a nightmare. But I worked through it. Then the other thing I had to worry about was, okay, now once I had the shelves in place, they were super sturdy because in this development that I'm living in, it's not built like a regular, like a condo development. It's built with beefier walls. They're 2x6s, and there's a nice separation because I've had to tear the ceiling out to put lighting in and ceiling fans and all that because it never had any. There's a nice buffer between the next floor and my floor and between the walls, a nice deep buffer. I think it's a firewall buffer. So my shelves are locked into 5 2x6s in the wall. So it starts at the left and comes all the way over, and the last foot had no 2x4 structure in it. So the inside, the end cap, the right-hand side had nothing to give it any structure. That's what worried me. Because yes, I could put my tanks on there, but I want to display 2 tanks on one shelf, and they're going to be separated, meaning they're going to be at the ends. And I was afraid to put weight on that right side without having to do something beefier. So I went to search. Then, of course, my favorite thing to do is let's go shopping, search online. And the space between my shelves, because I used 2x4s, and then I put another solid wood board on top of that, which was just under I think it's an inch. It ate up my space. I started with 18 inches. Now it went down to 17 and sometimes 16 3/4. All adjustable feet for furniture go up to 16 and then they stop. And then it starts up like at 22 or 23 inches. There's nothing between a 16 and an 18 that's adjustable. I even checked IKEA, which is where I got the legs for the studio wall. So I knew I was going to have to make my own legs. And I was really fretting that because I knew it meant on the bottom shelf, I was going to have to use 2x4s. And I knew it was going to look hideous. And I was really like, ugh, I don't want that. I wanted black metal legs on my shelves because I thought that's the aesthetic I'm going for. And I wanted to reuse the flooring that's here in the studio as a decorative element for the shelving unit. So we're going to turn the camera around, but I want to state very clearly, this cost me $205. That included all my lumber, all the screws, the glue I used, The electrical, the outlets, everything, my total cost was $205. I reuse, oh, the word of the day. I forgot about this. The word of the day is don't throw anything away that you might ever need again. I reuse materials that I've had more than a year. It all came together in this build. I just had an instinct, don't throw this away, blah, 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 blah. So I would hide it in the closet somewhere, used it all. So let's spin it around. Let me reorient my lighting so it'll be on the shelf and not me. Although I am the star of the show. Come on now. Let's get it around so you guys can see. And you'll also notice I have moved Blackfish. Blackfish has been moved twice. Just because I wasn't happy where Blackfish was. Okay. Let's get orientated now. Okay, you can gasp. Yes, gasping is allowed because I know this is freaking awesome. I'm so proud of it. All right, let's back up so you can see. But I want to sit down. I'm going to be lazy. I'm going to sit. How far do I have to back up? Okay, can you see Blackfish is sitting on the countertop? Okay. I swear we're getting there. We're getting there. We're closer. We're getting there closer. All right, let's start at the bottom. We'll start at the bottom and work our way up. Okay, so at the very bottom, those are my 2x4s that are the legs. And you'll say, Anthony, but this is fabulous. This is absolutely amazing. Thank you so much. I agree. So the flooring on the concrete here, I put that in a year ago when I remodeled the kitchen. And this is flooring I bought at Home Depot. It's a 99 cents per square foot. You cannot get anything cheaper for flooring right now anywhere. 99 cents is the cheapest that looks like this quality. This literally has an ingrained, it's a grain that's pressed into the vinyl itself, so it's not flat. You know what I mean? It's got like a groove to it. Like Stella got a groove on. This laminate's got its groove on as well. So this is leftover from the studio build. Now, yes, I want you to marvel. This is herringbone. Don't try this unless you have some really good medication because you will go insane. It's really, really hard to do. Even when I checked on it, I think with This Old House's website, I think it shows it is difficult. Trust me, when they say difficult, difficult is an understatement. If you can't handle computing angles, multiple angles per cut, at least 3 angles on a cut, one cut at the same place, it will drive you insane. It literally will. It is really, really tough, but it's beyond gorgeous. Excuse me, I needed some iced tea. It's beyond gorgeous, and it turns what is normally just a boring plank style into, it just really elevates your style. I mean, it just looks amazing. And I love how it goes with the cabinets that I did at the same time. That goes off into my kitchen. This is my bar area. Now, so what we're going to take a look at, let's close up. So you can see this is a 2x4, and I just put this vinyl on as a skin. It's just glued on there. It's glued on, and then I taped it off, and I let all the tape stay for 2 days to make sure it was all intact. It's solid as a rock. You can see how it looks right here. Here's the edging, and you can just see how it goes up. Now, the problem I had is, okay, if you guys look at that hurricane lantern laying on the side, on those 2 tree stumps. Oh God, it's so pretty. I found that in nature. Okay, so I took it all the way to the ceiling. I didn't want to initially because I was scared. Okay, you can see there's a little bump on the left right there. It's because the wall is not flat. The ceiling is not flat. That's the problem you're going to have. This vinyl stuff likes for it to be nice crisp cuts. Oh, try saying that 3 times. Nice crisp cuts. It can't. It is really, really difficult. So what you're really looking at is I first started with the skin on the 2x4 framing. That's where I started to make sure it was going to work. Then I did the what you would consider your backsplash. So between the shelves. And I had the holes cut out already for the electrical, because basically I'm tying into an electrical outlet right there that I put in myself, because this place had not enough electricity anywhere. So I put that in. So all I had to do, and then that part was easy. So if you're planning on building something like this and you're OCD like I am and you don't want cords everywhere, you want to have electricity on your shelf where your tanks are going to be so it looks more professional, or just, fits more your design aesthetic. If you will place the outlets above an existing one and just find out which side of the 2x4 that box in your wall is attached. It'll be on one side or the other. And you can just take a little stud finder. If you don't want to buy a stud finder, you can take like a tiny little nail and nail it on both sides of the box. And you'll know immediately when you hit wood in the wall, and you'll know which side your box is on. And then you just drill the hole on the opposite side that's in line with that box. Meaning you can take new wire, excuse me, and go straight into that existing box. And then from there, it's just moving on up like Frank and Wheezy. Up to that one. And, well, that one you can't see. Okay, so that's one thing we did. The electrical part was the expensive part, because I just bought 25 feet of wiring, which is the least amount you can buy. But buying the retrofit boxes, the outlets, and the covers, that just jumped up my price. So you can see now where the shelf, which is where the gray band is, the shelf sits on the 2x4 frame. And I wanted a tiny bit of an overhang just so that if I'm putting the skin on the 2x4 frame itself, it's got something to butt up to underneath it. So if there's a seam that goes awry or doesn't look quite right, you're going to hide it because the shelf is coming over. Now, the shelf itself I didn't do anything to it. It was bought that way. You just clean it off and you start putting your flooring pieces on it. That is way more straightforward, because you just have to pay attention to where your the direction of your arrows are going for the flooring. Excuse me. And then when you're doing the backsplash and the shelf, you want to coordinate that so it looks like one continuous piece. And by that, once you start doing it and you start laying your pieces out, you'll know what I'm talking about. So like you can see where there's on the backsplash, the bottom panel, you can see where the outlet is. And just to the left of it, that's where that piece ends. Then there's another piece. You go on top of that one, and then there's a short piece in the left corner, and then one long piece. And then you go on the top of that shelf, there's even a longer piece and then a short piece. You just want to stagger your cuts so it looks normal. That's how you would normally do it for a floor install. So you don't see the same pattern over and over. And you follow the arrows, because if you follow your arrows in the direction they're supposed to be laid, when you put one piece to the next, it's supposed to be a continuous flow of the pattern. That's what you're looking for. Now, I did do on this shelf, the bottom side has been laminate put on it, and the top side has had its laminate put on it, because you can see underneath there. The very bottom shelf, I didn't put it underneath it. I didn't think it needed it. On this one here, same thing. Now you can see there where the laminate is underneath the shelf, and then it goes up on the top. Now, one thing that's kind of cool, because when I said don't throw anything away, you see that gray band? That is actually, scoot over here. You see that countertop? That's from IKEA, and they send extra of those bands when you're putting in their countertops. That's that band right there, is now on here. So it fit perfectly. I just used some really good flooring glue, the kind that you use to put down this stuff here. You see that vinyl kick plate? That is, I used a glue that's for vinyl and for carpet. And it's very important because it will glue carpet down as well. That means it'll glue fabric down as well. Because what you're going to look at here, the first floor, you see 2x4s. Floor number 2, you have these amazing black structural legs. Those are hardwood dowels that I bought at Home Depot. Covered them in black vinyl and electrical tape. That's all I did. I cut them, covered them up, which was not easy because the fabric wanted to keep stretching. But it gave me the look that just is, amazing. And then the same thing for this one. Now on here, I put on there this is the middle shelf. This is the shelf that's only going to have one tank on it. And this is going to be the rhombus tank. So I put on there one of my nightlight terrariums to show you. This is probably how I'm going to display stuff up there with it. It's not just going to be the tanks by themselves. It's going to be other terrariums up there with it as well. But you can see now where when that tank is up there, we will hide the fact that there's an outlet. I have accounted for lighting that I can either put and stand it up a lot like, if we'll span over here. See how this lighting is on Blackfish? Those are on acrylic stands on the back side of it. And so I have those in black. And I thought, okay, I can put them over here on the shelf and they'll be in black. Or I have another option. I have like the light that's inside that terrarium. It is just the little round part only, and it comes with double stick tape. And it's taped to the inside of that glass lid. Now I could tape those lights on the shelf, the bottom end of that shelf, to where they're right over each one of the tanks, wherever side to put them. The cording is black. I can use black electrical tape to tape the cording so it's not hanging down. It can come straight down and look a lot more professional. So I've got two options for the lighting, whichever one works out in the best way for the overall look of the entire thing. Now, the top shelf, I had this nude behind it. It was just the wall. And, okay, you can see on this one a lot better. You see on this right side, see how that shelf just barely comes out? That's how I wanted all of them to work out. But they didn't all do that. Like, this one here, it barely doesn't. And that one does. So see, that one does, this one doesn't, this one does. This is the look I was going for because I thought that looked a lot more clean and streamlined. Now, I've got the Harry Potter up there for reference because that's that used to be a terrarium, but it could hold so little dirt, and it had the elder wand inside of it hovering on a rock. I thought it was glorious, but the terrarium part really didn't work because I couldn't put enough dirt in it. It was just more, sculptural. I want to put this in another 20-gallon long tank. I want that to be my hardscape with a hurricane lamp on it, and I want to put plants in it. So that's going to be an upcoming 20-gallon. Now, I already have some driftwood set up. So you know what that means for me. I'm going to get ready, and I'm going to start setting up my dojo on the shelves. I don't have the tanks yet, but I can do cutouts, or I could do a tape frame on each shelf of what tank is going to go there. And I can start with my rock placement just to see how I like it until I get to the point where, okay, this is what I like and this is what I'm going to go with. So I can start playing around with that. But this gives you really the overall look. The hard part, like I said, was up on here because your corners aren't flat. The nice thing, though, is this flooring is super easy to cut. It just takes a little straight edge blade. It is really nice because if you can try and keep the manufacturer's cut, if you're doing what I did, keep your manufacturer's cut on your right here. That way each piece lines up and nothing will get astray. I mean, you can keep it straight on the side here that's next to the wall because we don't have a piece of molding there. We didn't want to overdevelop the area. There's no crown up here, even though I have crown available. I wanted it clean. Where we have the issues is on the left where it meets the wall, and I've shoved it in there as much as I can. But we're going to have tanks on there, so that's not something you're really going to notice. And if anyone notices, they come to dish your work, do what I do, slap them and tell them to get out because you poured your heart and soul in this, and it just looks amazing. So let's give it a little backup. And so that's where it's going to be. The sofa is pushed away from it because I wanted you guys to see the corner. And I think I want to give you a close-up I'm going to show you the places where I had the worst trouble with and how I overcame it. So on the corners, as I say this all the time, wood can warp even with your best attempts at making sure you get everything perfect. Wood can still warp. Okay, so now you can see where these pieces are coming together. Those are the actual seams. I have not doctored anything up. That is how I butted them together. I glued them. The tape just came off. I am perfectly fine with the way this looks. It is not this shelf that I'm talking about that I have the problem with. And you should be able to see it right. Aha! It's this shelf. Okay. Do you see this angle right here? Okay, that's because of the 2x4. When I went to put the final screws and everything into it, that was the worst one I did because it's just me trying to do the 2x4s. I didn't have a brace or anything. So it butted out. But with using a lot of glue along here, you can tell I've got it tight against it. So it still covers it. That's my worst seam. And if we go up, see, no issues, but I love how that one overhangs. I wish they had all done that. And so now this also gives you a closer look at your leg supports. So look how that looks really cool, even up close. And then here's your 2x4. It really elevates your 2x4. I mean, it does make this look like a piece of furniture. So when I was talking about structurally where everything goes, let's span back just a little bit because I'm going to show you. So when you're designing yours, you kind of like get a reference. So in here, I need my little pointer. Oh well, I'll use this one. So I had a 2x4 here, 2, 3, 4, 5, no, 5, and the last 12 inches here, there's no support. That's why there's a leg here, here, and here to support all this weight. So basically you start with the bottom one, you make sure that you get this leg structurally sound first because it's holding up this one. And then these build on it and you balance it. So you do one leg and then you come over here and you do that leg. And then you come back and you come up to this one and you just make sure you put these in to where there's tension, but you're not jacking it up as much as you can. You're just putting tension in so that it's holding itself at its level position because you don't want to get it off level. And you do the same thing on that one and then follow it up to the top. And that's all you have to do. That part was a little more straightforward, so I was kind of happy about that because I was nervous about it. But I hope you guys enjoy this. I'll put this video out, and then I'm also going to do one where it's got all the components listed together. So when we're talking about how the tanks are going to be, I'll get you back as far as I can. I can show you what I'm talking about. All right. So let's explain rhombus. Okay, this is going to be a tank here and a tank here. Got me? 1, 1. Red, yellow, and green. Orange. Blue, yellow, green, violet. So I'm not sticking with the color scheme. I'm switching it up. Basically, you're going to see 2 tanks, 1 tank, 2 tanks. So you're doing like this. Think of this as a triangle coming down, and here's its point. think of this as a triangle coming back this way, where these 2 points meet, and when they come together slightly, it creates a diamond effect. If there were lines here, and you were looking at the lines, that diamond effect is called a rhombus. This tank will be my rhombus. So this tank is going to have 2 colors. So it's going to be yellow and green. And the reason why I chose, I'm going to do red, and then the reason why I chose to put the violet here is because I think red and violet will be beautiful together, and that blue and orange would be beautiful on the same row together. And then I'll probably throw, since we're going to have a gap here and a gap here, I'll probably put one of my smaller terrariums, or maybe even one of my tall ones up here, because I got so much space up here. And then, because I can't remember how tall the tanks are that I'm going with. I know they're 17 inches wide. I can't remember the height. It may be a foot. Yeah, I think it's either, no, it's 11 inches. Yeah, it's 11 inches. And I wanted a good 5 or 6 inches above it so that I could work on it, and then to also put plants in. So that's why I had to end up buying one, because all the stands I looked at had like 13 inches and that was it. Well, if you put an 11-inch high tank in a 13-inch shelf, you know what that means. You can't get in there and access anything. You can't get in there to work on it. So that's the whole point about having to build something specific like this. I wanted a little more space between them, but the outlet down here determined the height of that first shelf, because I had to clear that outlet. I couldn't go any lower because of the outlet. If I'd gone it a little bit lower, then I would have had, I wanted ideally 20 inches between each one of these, because I love putting plants out the top of it. And I thought, okay, that'll give me a lot of space. The one thing also is I want to be able to use some of this wood that I've collected that looks shockingly just like this wood. I mean, come on. You cannot get any more identical. I mean, this is like, okay, this is spirit helping me out here. I mean, I've had this since the very beginning, and I'm thinking that I'm going to do something to where these are going to come out of, I don't have room to do it like on these, because look, but these 2 top tanks up here, oh yeah, I'm going to hopefully be able to go crazy with my hardscape, because I love to go crazy with my hardscape anyway. But that's how the tanks are going to go 2, 1, 2. Then if I ever found anything that was smaller, or if I built something that was smaller, like over there by the window, then I could put bigger tanks here. I could put longer tanks here, because I'm really into the long tank. I like to go longer than bigger than a 20-gallon, but they get so expensive that I'm hesitant about that. But I do like the long look of the tank. So I hope that answers any of your questions. I'm not sure. Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. Let's do that. Okay, so if you have any questions, leave me a comment. This is a shout out to our 221 subscribers. You guys know that my channel is brand new. It's just had its 6-month anniversary or birthday, and I'm really trying to get the numbers up there, because I want this to be a big channel. I want it to be a big popular channel, or a big helpful channel out there, because I think of this hobby, the terrarium side and the aquascaping side, is like therapy. I mean, no matter what is going on in your day, especially in today's political climate, it's nice to be able to come to your sanctuary, and when you can just sit and look at a terrarium or look at your aquarium, and you know how that puts you in your Zen moment. You know how that calms you. That's what I want to bring that to more people. But so many people are turned off of this hobby because of the extreme nature of how expensive it is. I don't have a tank yet that's even cost me $200. I think I've got one that's been $200 because I ordered more plants. It was plants that, I think it was on Blackfish. It was this one, the 20-gallon long. But most of my tanks are around $150, and that's for everything. That's everything I put into it, because I forage my own hardscape, I forage my own rock, I forage my own gravel, and I try to cut costs as much as possible. And yes, I buy the tanks at PetSmart that have the rim on them because black is my accessory color, and I use that rim. I use that rim for my plants, that are house plants, that are growing out of the top as well. And so I like the fact that it's on there, because it helps me. I also have lighting that I have attached at the rim level. I keep wanting to touch an aquarium, but this light's not on. But I have lighting that I use in the rest of the display on both sides, the one at the fireplace and also the studio wall, where I have these little strips of LED plant lighting that stick straight on the tank itself and is lighting right on it. And it just was too bright and I was getting way too much algae outbreak, so I took them off. And I'm using the lighting that's around it as an ambient lighting. It's still the same lighting, it's just not as high of an intensity. But I'm trying to get my channel out there for people to see that you can do this on an extreme budget and start at whatever level you're comfortable with. You don't have to get overwhelmed by the cost and what you think you might need to put in there, and to take this one step at a time. Like, get familiar with your tank and decide how you're going to put stuff in it and maybe forage for it. And I show videos on how to do the foraging, how to prep your foraging to go into a tank, whether it's a terrarium or an aquarium. So there's a lot of information that goes on behind the scenes where I'm trying to show people how to save money and how to forage and scavenger hunt for their own items that they're going to use in the hobby. So I hope that can really get out there and well known for a population that's looking to get into this hobby, but not looking to spend $2,000 on a build. Because I'll go on other channels and I will add up everything they've put. Now, they may have sponsors, and that's amazing. If you can get a sponsor that sponsors your tank, your lighting, and all your expensive plants, oh, more power to you. But if you're like me and you're having to buy all those items, the cheapest tank I've ever seen online on any video I have ever watched was $800. $800, which is, in this economy, is just outrageous. So you guys, this is an easy way to get into it. And I hope if you enjoyed the message, please give me a subscribe if you're new to the channel and you're like, hey, I'd like to see more of that content, because now you're going to see the Rainbow series coming to life whenever I can get the tanks on sale. And then also my likes and my comments. Those blow me away. I answer all my comments. I love the community that my channel is embracing. I hear from people all over the world that comment on things that I'm doing and how they're doing something similar where they are, because we love the hobby, we want to engage in the hobby, and we don't just want to have one fancy, it's super expensive tank. We want to be able to experiment, because I do a lot of experimenting with my stuff as well. So if this resonates with you guys, give me the thumbs up, chat, and give me a subscription. I hope you guys have enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys on another build. Have a great day. Bye-bye.